Shalom, sisters of Israel. Welcome to Fruitful Possession. My name is Sister Jemima of the House of Jacob. Welcome to this class. Today's PowerPoint presentation will focus on breastfeeding and the benefits of breastfeeding. But before we get started, I'd like to share with you this message. This is for educational purposes only. We are not affiliated with any other organization. Please consult with your doctor or midwife for medical advice. Thank you. So before we go into today's lesson on the PowerPoint presentation of breastfeeding, I'd like to share a few scriptures with you out of the King James 1611 King James Bible. So we're not going to go over all the scriptures today, but I'd like to just share a few scriptures with you. And the first one is Titus 2, 3 through 5. The aged women likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their home husbands, that the word of God be not blasphemed. So this is a really great foundation I've learned over the years to apply as I'm rehearsing the righteous acts, and you may like this as well. But since we're going to go over breastfeeding and the benefits of breastfeeding, I wanted to share another scripture with you too. Proverbs 22 and 6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. And then I'm going to go in the book of Psalms, chapter 37, verse 23. And it reads, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighteth in his way. So this also means to sisters too. So I just wanted to share that with you, because as you have children, it's really great to be a good example. You want to dress in modest apparel, like in the book of 1 Timothy 2 and 9 and 10, in like manner also, that women adorn themselves in modest apparel, with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with broided hair, or gold, or pearls, or costly array, but which becometh women professing godliness with good works. So that's really good, because good works is a very rewarding thing, all praise the Most High. And I love to focus on scriptures in the book of Proverbs, chapter 31, 10 through 31, and on all the wonderful activities. So as you go on this walk, you want to make sure you're dressing modestly, you're dressing your children modestly whether they're going out of the house or they're around other people. When you're breastfeeding, you want to cover up, whether you're out worshiping, you're doing activities, or whatever, or you're home with your family, you want to cover up around your children. That's a great example. And then when you're teaching them, God's laws and showing them the high holy days, like in Leviticus 23 and Exodus 12, those are great things to do. And this is a wonderful scripture to remind us all about that, training up a child. Deuteronomy 7 and 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So actually, I meant to go to Deuteronomy 6 and 7. Deuteronomy 6 and 7 reads, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thy house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. So this is great. By your example, you're teaching them, through your example, to cover up, to dress modestly, dress them modestly, whether it's your son or your daughter, you have them dress it modestly all the time. You're teaching them God's laws, the way they act, how to conduct themselves, and you're being a light to them. So let's go on to our lesson. So today's Dad, Mom, and Baby series will focus on breastfeeding. So as we were reflecting on breastfeeding, modest apparel is really important because it's great to always cover up, dress modestly. Even when you're breastfeeding, cover your daughter's head. Even when it's an infant, when the scriptures come out, have them dress modestly. Your sons as well. And so this scripture reads from 1611 King James Bible Apocrypha, Deuteronomy 23:17. There shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel. Deuteronomy 22:5. The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are abomination unto the Lord thy God. 1 Timothy 2:9-10. In like manner also, that women adorn themselves in modest apparel, with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with broidered hair, or gold, or pearls, or costly array, but which becometh women professing godliness with good works. So I just wanted to share these scriptures with you, and these are just examples of the scriptures. So let's go into our lesson. So you may be home and you may have heard about telehealth, where you can visit your doctor, you can meet with your doctor, your midwife, your nutritionist, your lactation educator, your lactation consultant, or childbirth educator, or doula, whoever it is. You can talk to them through FaceTime, through telehealth, telemedicine, by scheduling an appointment. So even if you have a breastfeeding issue, or you're getting ready to see your midwife, so on, telehealth is something that you may have heard of, which is really helpful. So let's go over some breastfeeding terms you may hear. You may hear exclusive breastfeeding, which means it constitutes full breastfeeding to the baby. So the only thing that the baby is eating, is feeding from, is your breast milk. But you may also hear about complementary breastfeeding, where the baby receives both breast milk and some other form of food, which could be formula milk. And if they're being breastfed and then they're going to a bottle, it may confuse them at times. Or if they're fed breast milk and infant formula milk, it may also interrupt their system as well. So let's talk about some wonderful benefits of breastfeeding. We hear about breastfeeding all the time. It's a good thing. More mothers should do it. But let's talk about some benefits for baby and mom. So baby will lower infant morbidity and mortality rates if the mother feeds the baby breast milk. If the mother decides to breastfeed, there will be a stronger bond with the mother. The baby will have a much stronger bond with you. He or she will have an overall higher IQ, a reduced risk of cancer, reduced risk of sudden infant death syndrome, reduced risk of infectious diseases, a lower risk of getting cavities, a lower risk of getting otitis media or ear infections. There also will be a lower risk of developing obesity over the lifetime, and a reduced risk of type 1 diabetes, which occurs in children. So when it comes to brain development of a newborn, of a baby, it is best when breast milk is fed to the baby, because optimal ability to reason, think, and remember will be at uh, the forefront for the newborn, as well as through the lifetime. There's a potential for optimal intellectual and physical capability, so your baby will be much more creative as it grows and matures into an adult. Be creative, smarter, more alert, and then the brain development will also be able to be fulfilled to its capacity. So what about some of the benefits for mom? Well, there's so many, but here are a few of them today. You will also have a strong bond with your baby, and you will have a reduced risk of breast cancer and ovarian cancer, reduced risk of osteoporosis, where the bones become very brittle over your lifetime. You're going to reduce your risk by that significantly. You're going to have a much faster recovery process after giving birth versus someone who does not breastfeed. You will actually recover much sooner. There will be a significant reduction in postpartum hemorrhaging or bleeding. There will be a reduced risk of obesity, because as you continue to breastfeed, you're going to be burning about 200 or 300 calories a day. You're going to reduce the risk of obesity. You're going to get sick much less. And you're going to also benefit from birth spacing. So what are the types of milk for baby? Well, we hear about breast milk or formula milk. And in breast milk includes ingredients like antibodies and hormones, antiviruses, and anti-allergies. This is great because it helps them fight infections, it helps them fight viruses that come in. Anti-parasites and growth factors are also in the milk. Enzymes and minerals, vitamins and fat, DHA, ARA, and carbohydrates. It also has protein and water in its ingredients. So when you're feeding your baby, you don't have to worry about hydrating them or giving them anything else. The Most High put every last thing in there for the baby's nutrition, and it will adjust as your baby grows. Your body will automatically know to switch things up to give the baby what it needs at that time. So if you feed your baby 6 months, a year, 2 years, or even up to 3 years, like in the Bible, all praise to the Most High for your good works. So let's talk about formula milk now. Formula milk is not natural. It's something that you can buy over the counter. It will cost you money because you have to keep buying it, but you don't have to buy breast milk. You can feed your baby on demand. Formula milk has minerals and vitamins, fat, DHA, carbohydrates, protein, and water. So if you ever turn over a can or a container of formula milk, you'll see the difference between that and the breast milk. So as we learned about the differences between breast milk and now that you learned a little bit about the benefits of breastfeeding to the baby and yourself and the family, let's talk about how the human breast milk changes over time as you continue to breastfeed your son or your daughter. So we're going to first talk about colostrum. Colostrum is the first milk that the baby will feed off of. And it is produced in the late stage of pregnancy, up until about 4 days after delivery. As you can see by the picture up here, this is the colostrum, and it's much more gold and thicker than the other consistencies of the breast milk as it changes over time. So the transitional milk, which is produced from day 4 all the way up to day 10, is lower in protein in comparison to colostrum. But that's normal because your breast milk will change over time as you continue to feed your baby and the baby becomes a toddler. Your body's going to automatically know what your baby will need over time. So the transitional milk is produced from day 4 to 10 and is lower in protein in comparison to colostrum, but there's nothing lacking. It will still have vitamins and minerals. Human milk will have oligosaccharides, bacteria, the good types, other immune cells, hormones, antibodies, various fats, carbohydrates, and lactose, protein, and water, everything that the body needs. So mature milk. Mature milk is produced from approximately 10 days after delivery, after you've given birth, until the termination of breastfeeding. So if you are going to breastfeed your baby for 6 months or 12 months or 2 years or up to 3 years, like in the 1611 King James Bible, all praises to the Most High, you will be feeding your baby, your toddler, mature milk. And you'll see a lot of recipes where you can add your mature milk in little treats for the baby or the little toddler, little pastries, you name it. You can make those things. Even, believe it or not, you can make little ice cream with your human breast milk for your toddlers. Okay, so let's talk about the anatomy of breast for breastfeeding, because now that we learn a basic concept of what benefits of breastfeeding are, what the types of breast milk and how it changes over time, let's talk about how the milk is made, where it's produced, where does it travel, and how does it get to baby. So the alveoli cells is right here, and this is where the milk is produced, in the alveoli cells. This whole thing right here is a lobule. The whole thing kind of looks like fingers. This is a lobule, but in this particular one right here, this is an alveolar cell, and this is where the milk is produced. The milk is produced in these right here. So the ductile is where the milk begins to start coming down a little bit. But then the milk duct is actually where the milk travels. The tube through which milk travels is called the milk duct. And then as it travels down here, from the alveolar cells to the ductule to the milk duct, it's going to land in the milk sinus. It's going to collect right there. So when the baby starts to feed, like every 2 hours or so, every hour and a half, 2 hours, like maybe 8 times a day, when the baby starts to drink, they're going to land, he or she's going to land on the mommy's nipple and the alveola, which is the dark area around the nipple. And when it's a good latch, the milk will be sufficient for the baby. Okay, so this is a really good illustration of what a good latch is and what a poor latch is. So on the left-hand side of the slide, it shows a very good latch because you can see that the baby has its mouth on the nipple and it's covering the areola too. So there's no spacing there. A very good landing, and you can see just all cheek. That's a good feeding for the baby. However, on the right, as you can see, if you see your baby like this, where the mouth is only on the nipple and it's not covering the areola, right? So you see his nose here, but you don't see the nose there. That means it's not a good latch, and it may be causing pain to the mother as well as she's trying to breastfeed her baby. And that's when, like if they have problems with a good latch over time, that's when a lactation consultant would come in. Or if you had a grandmother or a mother or someone like that in the community that could help you with your latch, that will help as well. Let's take a look at this video.
As soon as a child is born, its natural instinct is to seek its mother's breast and begin breastfeeding. Placing your newborn in skin-to-skin contact at your breast in the first hour following birth offers several benefits for your newborn and for you. Skin-to-skin contact helps stabilize baby's temperature, respiratory rate, and blood sugar, and stimulates brain development. It also helps build a bond between you and your baby. Your newborn begins to suckle and gets the first milk, called colostrum, which is rich in antibodies and nutrients. It is sometimes called baby's first immunization. Colostrum helps prevent allergies and infection. Colostrum helps clear the first stool and reduce jaundice. Starting to breastfeed in the first hour after birth is important, even if the birth was by C-section. If you have a C-section, you can start breastfeeding as soon as you feel comfortable enough to hold your baby. As you wait, keep the baby with you, preferably in skin-to-skin contact. Ask health workers to show you comfortable breastfeeding positions. Breastfeeding can begin right away in the operating room in most cases. If your baby is born with low birth weight, but not prematurely, you can begin breastfeeding right away. Your baby may need more frequent feedings and may get sleepier while feeding. If your baby is born prematurely, he or she may not be able to breastfeed at first, but may be able to drink expressed breast milk. Every mother can produce enough milk in the first few days after birth. Babies need only a little at a time. On day 1, the stomach is about the size of a grape and can only hold about 5 to 7 millimeters at each feed. Your body can easily produce that amount. Small, frequent feeds set a healthy eating pattern. You will know if your baby is getting enough breast milk if he or she passes light-colored urine 1 or 2 times on the first day. On the second day, when more milk comes in, a baby will pass urine 6 to 8 times. By the 3rd to 4th day, your baby needs about 22 to 27 millimeters of milk at each feeding. That's the amount that would fill a stomach the size of a lemon. By the 10th day, your infant needs about 60 to 80 millimeters of milk at each feeding. Your body can easily produce this amount, filling a stomach the size of an egg. During these first days, your newborn stomach is designed to digest breast milk easily. Feeding your baby anything before you initiate breastfeeding can pose risks to your baby. Substances such as water, sugar water, honey, and baby formula are called pre-lacteals. These are risky because your baby lacks the enzymes to digest these. Your baby is more likely to develop food intolerance or allergies. Serious infections may occur. Your baby's stomach is filled up, leaving less room for nutritious breast milk. Breast milk takes longer to come in, delaying establishment of breastfeeding. If pre-lacteals, like formula, are provided using a bottle, your infant will not be as interested in suckling at your breast because it's easier to get milk from a bottle. With less suckling, you will produce less breast milk. For 9 months in the womb, your baby receives all the nutrition needed from your body. After birth, your body continues to produce the best nourishment for the baby, and in the right amount.
Okay, so let's talk about breastfeeding positions. So there's 4 basic types of breastfeeding positions. Whatever makes it comfortable for you. You want to make sure you have pillows to be comfortable, have something to put your feet up, so it won't be a stressful process for you. Make sure you're really comfortable and you're sitting in a comfortable chair and you and the baby are at a good level. So the 4 basic types are cradle hold, cross cradle hold, side lying hold, and football hold. Breastfeeding positions. So side lying position. Side lying facing the baby belly to belly. Line up the baby's nose to nipple. Hold the baby's head behind the ears for the latch. Support both mom and baby with pillows. In the cross cradle position, you want to position the baby at breast height. Roll the baby belly to belly. Line up the baby nose to nipple. Hold the baby's head behind his or her ears. In the football hold, position the baby at breast height. Roll the baby belly to belly. Line up the baby nose to nipple. Hold the baby's head behind his or her ears. Blanket, roll, or pillow to provide wrist support. So you want to make sure you're comfortable. So the cradle hold. Position the baby at breast height. Roll the baby belly to belly. Line up the baby nose to nipple. Hold the baby's head in the bend of the elbow or on the forearm. So another thing we may hear about too is very common. You'll hear about this in baby-friendly hospitals. You'll hear it through midwives, lactation educators, lactation counselors, lactation consultants. You may even have seen a video. What is skin to skin? If you use skin to skin, whether it's the mom or the dad, it's beneficial to the baby. So when the mom holds the baby or the dad with skin to skin, the baby will cry less because it's around mom and dad. So if the mom holds the baby skin to skin, the skin to skin will help regulate the baby's temperature, stimulates breastfeeding with the mom, supports baby growth and development, easier transition outside the mother's womb by skin to skin. Skin to skin also helps to regulate blood sugars for the baby, promotes bonding between baby and mom or dad, decreases chance of mom experiencing postpartum depression, reduces the chance of infection for the baby, and also baby sleeps better. And not only this, the American Academy of Pediatrics reaffirms its recommendation of exclusive breastfeeding for about 6 months, followed by continued breastfeeding as complementary foods are introduced, with continuation of breastfeeding for 1 year or longer as mutually desired by mother and infant. But of course, all praise to the Most High. If you can, feed your baby up to 3 years like in the Bible, all praises. But this is just for informational purposes only. Okay, so let's take a look at this video on how to assemble and carry baby in a baby sling. This is a good video because when you carry your baby son or baby daughter in a baby sling, it helps to promote breastfeeding, skin to skin, and you also develop a strong bond with your baby. Not only this will help you to multitask around the house. If you're working from home or anywhere you're going, you can carry your baby. And then your hands will be free to do other activities.
Welcome back to my channel. It's Naturally Nella, and today I'm going to be showing you how I tie my Moby wrap and how I carry my newborn around with me practically everywhere. I put it on in the house and I carry him around when I'm doing light house tasks, and also when I'm taking a walk, if I'm walking through the grocery store, anything. I love this wrap. I've talked about it in my last video as well. And someone had asked for a tutorial on how I tie it. If you're new here, I want to welcome you to subscribe to my channel to watch more of my videos. So this is the wrap that I use. It is a Moby wrap. I purchased it from Burlington Coat Factory for about $24. And in stores, it's closer to, in other stores, it's closer to $40. So that was a steal. It's pretty long, so I usually tie it before I leave the house because I don't want the ends to drag on the floor when I'm in public. So it's long and it's about this wide. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and fold it in half. Mine is kind of already pre-folded here a little bit, but you fold it in half. And then you find the logo on the wrap that just indicates where the center of the wrap is. And I do want to say this was a learning curve for me. Like I had to try like 15 times till I got it right. But anyway, you want to place the logo close to your belly button area and wrap it around. And then once you get to the back, you just cross it and bring it over your shoulders. All right, so it's crossed in the back. So in this area, in the front part, you want to make sure that the two folds where it opens, where you fold it, the two folds, or the two ends rather, are facing inward. Same thing on this side. And then the next thing that you do is you take both of these ends and you want to push it through this area that wraps around your tummy. Now that they're in, you cross them over. So these two are crossed over. Then you'll be left with these two ends. Now you can tie it in the back, wrap it around to the front. You can tie it at the side. Wherever you want to end this, you can. I usually just tie mine in the back. And then I'll end up having these two loose ends. I'll wait until I'm finished wrapping baby and then I tuck them. So I went ahead and got him. Before I put him in here, I do just want to say, you see how you cross these two over each other? So the first side I'm going to put him in is the side that is, let me get closer, is the side that is underneath. So there's going to be one on top, one on the bottom. I'm going to put him in this side first and then this side. Come here. So he's sleeping. Hopefully he doesn't get too upset. But I'm just going to start by kind of putting him over my shoulder. Put this leg in this side and then pull it up over his body and then bring him over a little. And then I take this other side, put his leg in and bring that over his body. And you can see how secure and snug he is before I even pull this bottom half up. Oop, his foot is out. There we go. So it has this nice support at the bottom. He's nice and tight to me. I used to feel like there's no way a baby can be secure in this wrap. I was so scared to even put him in here, but it's really not bad. So once he's in here, or she is in your wrap, you want to go ahead and take that bottom part. I gotta find it. Take the bottom part that is wrapped around your tummy. You're gonna pull that over baby's bottom. And back. And that's it. The baby is in here. He's nice. He's snuggly. He's close to mommy. And I can get stuff done. I can unpack the dishwasher, pack the dishwasher, make the bed, things like that. Another thing is if you don't feel super secure with your baby's head, if you feel like they might pull it back because his neck is getting pretty strong, so sometimes he does pull back a bit. You can take the wrap, like this side of the wrap, and just stick his little head in there. One second. Okay, yeah. So you can just pull this over baby's head, and it secures the head in place like that. He's nice and comfortable. It's quick and easy. It's convenient. It's something that you can carry in your bag when you're traveling somewhere. And I just love the wrap. I hope that this tutorial was helpful for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
Preparing for breastfeeding before giving birth. These are just some tips you want to look out for when you're ready to start breastfeeding. This information could be accessed on the American College of Obstetrics or any other website that you feel is useful for your pregnancy and your birth and breastfeeding. Ask your doctor, midwife, for a prescription for a breast pump. So you're going to need a breast pump. You may not think about this now. You may not be familiar with a breast pump, and you may be the first in a long time in your family that started breastfeeding or used a breast pump. So this is really good to learn. When you have a baby and you're thinking about breastfeeding, your doctor may mention about a breast pump and breastfeeding, things like that. You want to get a prescription for a breast pump, but you don't want to get it too soon before the baby comes, because there's like a warranty period and you don't want that to expire before you had a chance to test it out with the baby. So you want to ask your doctor and midwife for a prescription for a breast pump, probably like a couple of weeks before you give birth. Check with insurance to see if it's covered first, all right? Select a lactation counselor or lactation consultant before giving birth, and then learn about skin to skin with baby. So even though you get a prescription from the doctor or the midwife, it may not be covered by your insurance company. So the second thing you want to do is check your insurance company benefits after you get your prescription to see if it's covered. Then you want to select like someone that will educate you on breastfeeding. Select a lactation counselor or a lactation consultant before giving birth. And then you want to learn all you can about skin to skin with baby. so let's watch this video on how to learn baby feeding cues.
Hi, baby. This video is intended for the parent or OB nurse looking for a demonstration of newborn feeding cues to help educate. Since our babies are not able to produce speech, they tell us in so many other ways through cues. I plan to share with you through a live video of a 6-week-old baby to help you identify the signs of early, mid, and late cues of a hungry baby. My name is Christina, nurse practitioner. Let's get started. The early cues of I'm hungry begin with a stirring, so it's head movement based, which is moving head to one side. You'll notice when the baby is with mama, this baby drops his pacifier and begins to search for milk through the familiarity of mom's scent. You'll notice mouth opening and turning head, which is identified through the seeking or rooting for milk, which is one of the many reflexes that a baby is born with the first weeks and first months of life.
Look at you, you're so cute. Yeah, you're cute. Hi, Grayson. Hi.
The mid cues of baby trying to tell you I'm really hungry, you'll notice the baby is increasing in movement and hand to mouth and sometimes stretching.
You're 6 weeks old. Yeah, you're a big boy. You're my baby boy. Hi. Hi. You're yawning. You've been napping all day.
Some late cues would include crying and becoming frustrated with lots of movement and possibly baby skin color turning red. When a baby is in a late cue, attempt to soothe the baby before attempting to feed successfully.
Peekaboo.
Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe for upcoming notifications. Take care.
So what happens to mom if you don't breastfeed? What kind of things can happen if you decide not to breastfeed after giving birth? Well, that's a good question. The mother recovers slower after giving birth if you decide not to breastfeed at all. It will also increase the risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, osteoporosis, high blood pressure, anemia, postpartum depression, metabolic syndrome. The more a mother breastfeeds her baby, the more her risk of breast cancer goes down. So these are very helpful tips. So what happens to baby if not breastfed? What if you don't breastfeed your baby? What will happen to the baby? Well, the baby will lose a lot of benefits if it's not breastfed. 56% higher risk of SIDS, 35% higher risk of asthma with no family history, 67% higher risk of asthma with a family history, 100% higher risk of ear infections. So you'll be going back and forth to the doctor all the time. You'll have to take off time from work or you have to leave home. And 178% higher risk for diarrhea and vomiting, like gastrointestinal infections. 64% higher risk of type 2 diabetes as an adult. 23% higher risk of acute lymphocytic leukemia. 138% higher risk of necrotizing enterocolitis. And a risk of lower IQ, average of 8 points lower. So what are some common barriers to breastfeeding for racial and ethnic families? Well, oh praise the Most High, we need to learn about these things, right? Because a lot of mothers aren't able to breastfeed, or they're not trying breastfeeding, or just not very successful, and there's a lot of challenges. Let's talk about some of those challenges that they have to deal with, right? Like those curses in Deuteronomy 28. 15 through 68. But let's read this. It says, preference to feeding baby with a bottle. That's one of the barriers why they decided not to breastfeed, because they have a preference to feeding baby with a bottle. There's pain associated with breastfeeding. There's discomfort. So this is like some surveys that were passed out, and these are some answers that they were able to give, some feedback. So these are mothers. This is discomfort. This is why they decided not to breastfeed, because of discomfort, lack of social and cultural acceptance, employment issues, inconvenience of the breastfeeding process, lack of time to breastfeed, lack of parental knowledge regarding breastfeeding practices, lack of maternal access to information that promotes and supports breastfeeding, sexual perceptions of breastfeeding in general, language and literacy barriers, so they mean like translators, things like that need to explain it to them, assimilation, lifestyle choices such as smoking, alcohol use, and the desire of younger women who want to be independent and free to leave their infant in the care of others. Lack of support from family, peers, work, and the healthcare community. Difficulty with the baby latching onto the breast. Inadequate milk production. So I wanted to read one of the scriptures. It says, lifestyle choices such as smoking, alcohol use, and a desire, that part right there, and a desire of younger women who want to be independent and free to leave their infant in the care of others. So there's a scripture in the book of Timothy. I believe it's the book of Timothy. Let me see if I can go there. 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 14. I like to share this scripture. I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully. So it's a good thing to have children, guide the house, take care of them. And then of course a lot of sisters, they have to work outside the house. They have to juggle families, in their order. They may be single parents, but you're married. This is great to learn too. And it also is good to share to others too. And there are any other scriptures that you may have. And this goes along with Titus 2, 3 through 5 about not giving over too much wine, teaches of good things. So I'm going to show you 2 videos that has to do with breastfeeding and some topics that came up in the news. These are a few years old, but they're still very relevant to today's breastfeeding lesson.
We've got a college student for you. This is Carlesha Thurman. Let's bring up this first photo of her. You're going to see her during her graduation ceremony for California State University, Long Beach. Now, this is a great photo of her. It is not, however, the photo that has gotten her in a lot of trouble online. Let's switch over to that controversial photo.
That's a sexy photo.
That is a very sexy photo, actually. For some people, this next one might be sexy as well, but let's bring this up. Yes, so Carlesha Thurman was breastfeeding at her graduation ceremony. She's a 25-year-old mom, graduating, as I said, from California State University, Long Beach. And she was doing this to then post the photo on the Facebook page of Black Women Do Breastfeed, which hopes to normalize the process of breastfeeding. They don't want people to freak out when they do it in everyday situations because it's something that needs to be done. So predictably, people freaked out when they saw her doing it, and a flood of negative critical tweets came in. Let's bring those up. I'm all for breastfeeding, but at a graduation, come on, y'all, that was inappropriate. Some of these are just rough. Like, nobody told her to hoe around in third period. Yeah, she's in college. It's not a period system. I have a feeling Kanye West did not go to college now. Maybe I still have sleep in my eyes, but did I just see a pic of a chick really breastfeeding? Y'all trying to justify a chick breastfeeding during a graduation? Y'all weird on here. Yeah, still don't mean she ain't a hoe. So, wow. Yeah, I mean, she had a kid. Like, you don't have to have sex with like 100 guys and finally I've passed the barrier. Kid, woohoo! Like, she had a kid. Lots of people have kids.
And lots of people eat. And you know what? To feed a baby, you have to breastfeed them
Lots of people feed on breast.
Yeah, that's exactly what you do. But It's you know what? I find it really odd that that's what we're focusing on when really I think the bigger conversation is on how inspirational this woman is. She's a 25-year-old who's graduating from college and she has a child. That's incredibly difficult to do. So she should be an inspirational story to those who, those women who have children and who perhaps aren't considering a college education solely for that reason.
Yeah.
And we're focusing instead on the fact that she's feeding her child and being responsible. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And so she had sort of a similar stance to the criticism. Why don't we bring up her statement she put, I believe it was on Facebook. I found out I was pregnant my last year of college, had my daughter 1 week into my last semester. She was my motivation to keep going. So me receiving my BA was our moment. So glad I captured the moment and so glad you shared it with the world. So thank you again. And so, people need to, as with everything that's ever happened on Twitter, you need to tone it down a little bit. However, I will say, I think that if she were to act totally shocked by the criticism, I think that would be somewhat disingenuous. Because the thing is, she was doing this to put on a page that seeks to normalize breastfeeding. By its very nature, that page understands that there are people who have a problem with it. And if you're trying to make a statement that this is normal, you should expect on the internet there's going to be some criticism of it. If there wasn't any criticism, then apparently it already is normal and the statement was unnecessary at that point. Now, hopefully we'll get to that point at some point, I suppose. I mean, it's taken a long time. I remember there was a very popular episode of Married with Children where he was protesting against people breastfeeding in his shoe store. And that was like 20 years ago. We apparently haven't made much progress, unless for some reason it's more explicit to do it at graduation than while shopping for loafers. I don't know.
A mother of two has gone viral for sharing a picture of herself breastfeeding in front of two haters who told her to cover up. I'm going to tell you her story here for you on IO. Welcome back to IO, I'm Charlotte Dobre. Before I get into this video, tell me in the comments below how you feel about breastfeeding. Is it something that should be done in private? Or do you think that a mother should be able to breastfeed her child whenever she wants? Brittany Medina and her family are annual pass holders at Disneyland, California. She has a 10-month-old son. If you've ever been to Disneyland, you know how long the lines can be, and that can be daunting, especially for parents with small children. Have you ever tried to wait in line with a kid? Kids have not developed the understanding that you have to wait your turn. They don't understand, so they make it as hard as possible for you to wait in that line with them. So imagine having to deal with that and then also having to deal with a little baby who's incredibly hungry. And the only way that you can feed him is if you take out your tatas in front of everybody. Brittany was waiting in line to take a picture in front of the Cars Land sign. It was almost their turn and her baby could not wait to be fed. So she fed her son in line. As you can see from this photo, Brittany had a couple of haters who told her to go to a restroom and cover up. I mean, super convenient for them because if Brittany left the line, they would move up. Brittany's actually a mother of two and she has an older son as well. When her older son was little, she used to cover up when she breastfed. But according to Brittany, people stare and complain no matter what. So in response, Brittany made sure her husband got her haters in the picture and she posted it on the Breastfeeding Mama Talk Facebook page. Naturally, it generated its fair share of comments. Some people just aren't okay with breastfeeding, but what I find crazy is our society and the rules that make up our society are taking precedence over rules that are essential to human survival. You're seriously gonna deny a little baby its food because you're uncomfortable about breasts? Plus, dude, you're at Disneyland. This is a place meant for children and children need to eat. What the heck is your granny ass doing at Disneyland? I personally think Brittany is a great mother. In order to keep her son happy, she couldn't deny him food or a picture in front of the Cars sign. Amazingly, this post ended up reaching the family of the women who were in the photo. A member of their family wrote to Brittany to say that he was ashamed of his aunt's behavior. The younger woman in the picture commented on an article, denying that she said anything. Don't you love the power of social media? Anyways friends, those are my thoughts on this story. Don't forget to share your opinion in the comments below. I'm gonna take this opportunity to respond to some comments from previous videos. Charlene Van Ass said, "You always make me laugh, Charlotte, even on serious videos. How do you do that?" Potatoes? Marler House said, "It'll never work out between us IO. You say potato and I say potato. Let's call the whole thing off." Sad it won't work out, but if the rest of you want to keep watching IO, check out this video over here. Teen girl sells virginity for $3 million. Clickable on the screen right now. That is it for me. Later, taters.
So this is a chart. It's called Healthy People 2010 and 2020 Goals and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention data from 2007 on racial and ethnic breastfeeding initiation and continuation. So this is a really good chart about some statistics. And, as you can see, let's look at Israel here regarding breastfeeding initiation and continuation. And it says, let's see, African American. So this looks like a sample size, and there's different numbers up here because there's different sizes of the sample in the population that they picked. So for African American, it looks like, well, it says there's 3 categories. Have you ever had breastfeeding? You ever did breastfeeding? Breastfeeding at 6 months? Breastfeeding at 12 months. So let's look at the columns. So African American, the sample size looks like in the study was like 2,600 or so. Have you ever breastfed? And it says the goal was 75%. So if you were 75%, that's great. In 2010, Healthy People 2010 goals. African Americans, it said 59.7% plus or minus 2.9% have ever breastfed. Then at 6 months for that same group, breastfeeding at 6 months, it went down to 27.9% plus or minus 2.5%. And then when it got to at 12 months, the goal was 25%. It was at 12.9% plus or minus 1.9% for African Americans. So as you can see, this is the sample size right there. And then this is have you ever did breastfeeding? It fell below the goal of 75% at 59.7%. And then when it got to 6 months, it was 27.9%. And their goal for this particular study was 50%, and it was 27.9. And then at 12 months, the goal they set for this study was 25%, and blacks, African Americans, were 12.9%. Hispanics, the goal, the sample size is 2,895, looks like. 80.6% plus or minus 2.4 said they've breastfed at some point. When it came to 6 months after breastfeeding, only 46% pretty much were still continuing to do it. And then after a year, after 12 months, 24.7% roughly were continuing to breastfeed. And so let's look at Native Americans, American Indian and Alaskan Native. There's a smaller sample, 552 it looks like. If they ever breastfed, 73%, 73.8% somewhat. And then after 6 months in that same group of Native Americans, 42.4% roughly. And then after a year, it was about 20.7%. So in all the groups, pretty much, they have other groups as well, they were below the goal of what was set. So this is a good learning tool for seeing where the challenges are in breastfeeding. Okay, so what are some common breastfeeding support professionals that will deal with breastfeeding issues? Well, one of them is a lactation educator. Lactation educators educate, counsel, and help to support families with the use of evidence-based information, which means they educate them on the process of breastfeeding. They may give them a list of support organizations that they may need to access locally or online. It has to do with breastfeeding. They may give them a list of vendors who provide breastfeeding pumps, for example, as well as many other sources in the community. Lactation consultant. A lactation consultant has many roles. You may see them in a hospital, you may see them in a clinic, as well as a lactation educator. You may see them in a private practice. So it says clinical expert and advocate in breastfeeding. A lactation consultant deals with breastfeeding issues, cleft lip, poor latch, or mastitis. That's when the breasts are inflamed, for example, from maybe not rotating from breast to breast when breastfeeding. So whether it's a lactation educator or a lactation consultant, you may see them in hospitals or clinics or health centers. Let's watch this video.
So today we're going to discuss how to support a breastfeeding mom.
Where we going?
Already? Pick up the child.
You ready to roll, son? You driving, all right?
What's going on, world? Welcome back to T3 and me. It's the man of the hour here, T3, man. I'm gonna let him go first. Say hey. Yeah, good job, man. It's your man, Tim Ford Jr., and today we're gonna talk about how to support a breastfeeding mom. You get him a toy or something to keep him occupied. There you go. You want this one? Or you want this one? That one right now? All right, cool. Number one, get help from the start. When your woman tells you that she's ready to breastfeed or she's thinking about breastfeeding, you have to go get some classes. Is it good? Go to some classes, man. There's a professional out there that has a job as a lactation consultant. She would literally sit down with you guys and teach y'all how to make sure that the baby breastfeed properly, how you can help her through the process. And when you all schedule the lactation consultant, it's not just for her, it's for you too, bro. Like, you're gonna get this one, man. It shows you ways that will help you and show you ways to support. When it comes to kids, sometimes you just gotta figure it out and adjust. Get this on you, let's get this in you. Say our grace. Say our grace, hold on. Lord, thank you for bringing us together for another meal. Thank you for blessing us with another meal, Lord. Please bless this food for the nourishment of our bodies and bless the hands that prepare it. It's in your son Jesus' name that we pray and give thanks. Amen. Amen. Good job. Here you go. Like I was saying, the lactation consultant is very good at helping you find ways to be able to help and teaching you how to help properly, because that's the name of the game. They're gonna need a lot of help, so it'll be good. They got someone in their corner to help them. Why not help them, you know? Number two, bring her things. When it's time to breastfeed, bro, hey, it's a process, man. You gotta make sure she got some water by the bed. Make sure she got some snacks by the bed. Make sure she got a lot of things that makes her comfortable. One thing that my wife loved was the I don't know what it's called, but it's like a bopper thing. I don't know. It's like something he laid in. I can't think of the name of it right now. Boppy, something like that. He would lay on that and on her and eat. It's like different tools and tips that she would like. Figure out what your girl likes, man, and get it for her. Make sure it's always a comfortable setting for her. Number three, you gotta learn the hunger cues. When I say hunger cues, I mean like when the baby cry, it's not always because he's hungry or because she's hungry. Sometimes they want to play, sometimes they want a new change of scenery, sometimes they want to do something different. His case, he was hungry this time. I learned the hunger cue. But yeah, like I was saying, yeah, you gotta learn the hunger cues because there's different things that you can do to keep the baby occupied instead of always thinking like, oh, he or she needs to eat, let me give him the mom. Number four, don't assume she want to be alone. Sometimes they want somebody to talk to, rub the baby head, take some pictures if she cool with it. Some moms be like, nah, don't do all that. But my wife, I was in there like, ooh, let me get this angle. Lift it up a little bit. Nah, I wasn't doing all that. But I was in there taking a lot of pictures. I was in there rubbing his head. I was in there. I still do to this day. Sometimes I'll pretend like I want some to see if he gonna share it with me. But I don't really want none. I heard it's good, but I ain't never really just went down that road. I don't have a reason to. I just let him enjoy all of it. The simplest thing you can do is just ask her, does she want any privacy? But if you haven't yet, make sure you click that subscribe button so you can stay tuned to the journey. Tell them, yeah, subscribe. Number five, participate in the process, man. You can participate in the process by doing the same steps in number four, basically. Just, stay there with them, be in tune, be invested into the time that they're doing. Like, stay there. Number six, join the night shift. They be up at them wee hours of the morning, man. Tell them wee hours. He used to get up in the wee hours, and I used to be sitting over there like, I used to be asleep with my back turned to them. But then I would wake up and hear it. And I'd be like, oh, well, let me get up and help, man. You gotta get up and help and join the night shift. You can help by burp the baby after he or she finished eating. Another thing you can do is change the diapers sometime at night. There's a couple different ways that you can help and join the wee hours, man. Don't just think, oh, she got it, she woke, I'm gonna just stay asleep. Nah, man, they will appreciate it, the baby and the mother, if you get up and help them sometime. And that way you'll be able to bond with your child in those moments as well. So it's a win-win situation. Number 7, wash the pump parts. If she pumps, it's your job to wash, bro. What you doing? Just wash some of the parts for her, man. You don't have to do it all the time. I'm sure she would prefer that you do it all the time. If she pumps, you wash. When she pumps, you wash. Now I know sometimes it's gonna be difficult. You can't do it all the time, man. We have other things that we have to do around the house and other things that we have to do, period. But you can wash the pump part sometime, bro. At least lend a helping hand sometime. Number 8, offer rest and breaks. If you see she's getting to a point, even before you see she gets to a point, just offer a break. Like, you need me to go somewhere with the baby, or you need me to take the baby off your hands for a minute, or you need a break, or something like that. Just give her some time to just be a woman. Give her some space. Let her breathe. Let her think without the baby being in her vicinity, because, bro, exactly, they're a handful. And sometimes just give them a break, man. Just give them a break, all right? Number 9, when you give the break, mind the break. Don't just get a break and be like, okay, I gave you a few minutes, here you go, he back. Nah, bro, if you say you giving her a break, give her a break. If you say you're gonna go somewhere, go somewhere. Don't hit her up and be like, hey baby, what do I do in this situation? Figure it out. Give her a little break, give her a little free time, a little me time, man. Number 10, make sure you offer encouragement. That's one of the main keys to this entire process. You have to offer some form of encouragement. You good? What you looking for? Some forms of encouragement. You could say, you're doing a great job. I see you, mama. Hey, you doing that mama thing pretty good. I see you, girl. Yeah. Thank y'all for tuning in. We appreciate you all taking the time out to watch this video. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe so you can join the journey and just watch this seriously handsome young man. All right, tell them bye-bye, T3. Say bye-bye. Yeah, good job, man. Yeah.
And these are some of the references here that you may want to look at on your own or read about it, or you may find some other wonderful resources that will help you if you have questions about breastfeeding. You can also go on the Leche League website to read about breastfeeding as well. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation today on breastfeeding and the benefits of that. I like to say all praises to the Most High and Christ blessed. Shalom. To donate, visit on our website at www.fruitfulpossession.org.